So out of the questions here, the the ones that you look at the most are these things. However, it's important to understand how they're going to ask you questions regarding human factors design. All right. So they're not going to say, oh, which of these is an example of standardization. What they're going to say is guidelines help, and you'll have to choose between improving process reliability, reducing wasteful activities, and other things. And you'll have to understand what standardization is based on that, and what simplification is based on those answers. They're not going to say simplification is. They're going to give you an example of something, and then they're not going to say it's an example of simplification. They're going to give you the definition of simplification, and you're going to have to choose that. Okay. Plan, do, study, act, whatever. So, quality measurements, this is something that I've seen a couple times. And so they use everything with diabetes here, but let's use something current that's going on. So all these things answer the question, how are we going to deal with a problem? So in this example, they use diabetes, and in our example, we're going to talk about coronavirus. So the problem is coronavirus. So how do you measure how effective a structure is? Okay, so in this example, they say number of diabetes educators. Okay, for us structurally, we're going to say, well, how many test kits do you have? You're going to say, how many hospitals do you have dealing with this directly? How many ICU beds per hospital do you have open for this? How many ventilators do you have? How many? So a physical thing. It answers kind of the question, what? For the process, it'll say how. So in their diabetes example, they say, oh, well, look at how many people have A1C. Okay. For the coronavirus example, how are you going to measure a process? Well, you're going to say something like, how many new hospitals have opened up for this? How many blah blah blahs? How many test kits are available per patient? How many? You can, instead of using per patient, you can use per hospital, per state, per whatever. You can say how many people have been tested. Yeah, you can say how much of the supply of masks have you had to go through per patient? How many? Stuff like that. You're measuring really how. Oh, outcome is very straightforward. You can say, well, how many have died? Or you can say, if you're not measuring deaths, you can say, use another endpoint. Complications requiring intubation or something. And then balancing, it's just kind of, it's implying a zero-sum game. So you would balance it on another system. You could say, okay, well, how many of those, respirators could have been used on other patients? You could say, what's the implication of shutting down wings only for coronavirus patients? Are some people who have COPD exacerbations, are they not being treated because of that? So again, pretty straightforward. And the Swiss cheese model is, it's like a fun little thing. All it says is that if you have a bunch of these kind of shields in place, 1, 2, 3, 4, but each shield has some holes in it, well then theoretically there'll be once in a while a hazard that's able to bypass all these shields through their weak points and end up causing harm. All right. The big thing here is just understanding how they're going to ask these questions, if they do, and then just understanding how these things are measured. Pretty low yield,